Andrew Carnegie was an American businessman in the second half of the 19th century. He had a prominent role in the American economy and industrial development. The legacy of Carnegie's business tactics, and philanthropy live on to this day, making Carnegie one of the most influential people in American history.
Andrew Carnegie was born in 1835 to a poor family in Scotland. Dunfermline, the town of his youth, was stricken with hard times due to the town's prominence of weaving being outdone by industrial textile production.
In 1948, at the age of 13, the Carnegie family sold all of their possessions, packed their bags, and headed to the United States. They settled in Allegheny, Pennsylvania, a suburb of Pittsburgh, with relatives and continued to work in weaving.
When passing through the port of New York, Carnegie saw the major industrial hub and its opportunity for the first time. As Carnegie described in his autobiography, New York was the first great hive of human industry, among the inhabitants of which I had mingled, and the bustle and excitement of it overwhelmed me.
Throughout Carnegie's young life, much of his free time was spent in the library reading as much as he could. From a young age, he believed the key to advancing his place in society was through education.
As an adolescent in Pittsburgh, Carnegie first worked as a bobbin boy in a cotton factory with his father.
He then secured a job as a messenger boy for the city's telegraph office. Carnegie memorized the city streets and many important addresses to complete his job to its full potential.
Following in his pursuit to improve his life by means of education, Carnegie would often request his telegrams to the theater be done in the evening so he could stop and watch Shakespeare. Based upon his telegraph skills, Carnegie was hired by the Pennsylvania Railroad. He quickly worked his way up the ladder, securing an important job in the company.
Carnegie then chose to heavily invest in the railroads and the upsurging steel industry. He had recognized steel as being useful in railroad ties because its strength takes the risk away from the railroad.
Based upon the success of his steel investment, Carnegie left the Pennsylvania Railroad. He then borrowed some money on top of his already strong income to build his own steel mill outside of Pittsburgh.
In his mill, Carnegie invested in and used the new steel refining process created by Henry Bessemer to change huge batches of iron into the stronger steel. The Carnegie Steel Mill quickly overtook and bought out competitors. The Carnegie Steel Corporation dominated the steel industry through the implementation of vertical integration, controlling every aspect of the steel production process from mining the raw iron to distribution and use.
Vertical integration has been used ever since in all aspects of industry. One example is Ford Motors in the early 1900s. To efficiently produce the Model T in such mass quantities, Ford controlled everything from rubber harvesting for tires to selling the car.
A more recent example of vertical integration is Apple computers. While many companies design just hardware or software, Apple manufactures and designs every aspect of their product from start to finish.
Therefore, Carnegie's use of vertical integration has defined industrial production from that point forward. However, his legacy in industry is just one enduring aspect of life established by Andrew Carnegie. Carnegie was one of the era's largest proponents of the rights of laborers. However, within the Carnegie Steel Company, this pro-labor rhetoric was not followed. Carnegie had people working 12-hour shifts in harsh conditions. He often sparked competition amongst workers to promote hard work and then fired off those who did not succeed.
In the famous Homestead Steel Strike of 1892, Carnegie left his mill in the hands of manager Henry Frick.
Frick locked out strikers and brought in Pinkerton thugs to intimidate them into stopping the strike. The Pennsylvania State Militia was brought in to quell the strike, and multiple strikers were killed. This episode forever hurt Carnegie's reputation.
Over decades, at the head of the American steel industry, Carnegie amassed a fortune, growing his mills into the world's most technologically advanced and largest. The Carnegie Steel Company produced more steel than all of Great Britain.
In 1900, at age 64, Carnegie sold his steel company to banker and fellow robber baron J.P. Morgan. The company was sold without hesitation for $480 million. The deal officially made Andrew Carnegie the wealthiest man in the world. After selling his steel company, Carnegie quit business and decided to focus on philanthropy. He began giving his money for charitable purposes, including public libraries and universities across America.
His establishment of these institutions was under Carnegie's belief in the worship of wealth. He believed people should make money and then help those less fortunate by creating ways for them to educate and help themselves. Carnegie funded libraries throughout the country. He also founded the Carnegie Technical Institute in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania in 1900. This university has since become the Carnegie Mellon University, one of the nation's leading engineering institutions.
He also built the Carnegie Institute of Technology in Oakland, California. It now comprises the Carnegie Music Hall, Carnegie Library Main Branch, and the Carnegie Engineering Institute.
Carnegie also supported the Tuskegee Institute, an all-African American university. By the end of his life in 1919, Carnegie had given away over $350 million of his fortune to make educational opportunities for the public.
Carnegie's charitability is another aspect of his legacy in defining American history. Between his philanthropy, business, and industry, Andrew Carnegie has shaped America.